I'm really excited for today's video. I get to sit down with my really good friend, Chris Kirkpatrick from Life 180. And today we're breaking down an entire series on different types of life insurance and the frameworks you can use to know when to apply them and where they're going to be most beneficial for your life. Now, today we're going to start with term, which is the most basic. It's going to break down all the things. And we got into an incredible conversation about this. It went way longer. So this is actually going to be a series of videos. And we're going to start with term. I hope you enjoy this video.
Hey, what's going on? It's Chris Kirkpatrick with Life 180.
And Daniel Ronberg with Nations First Financial.
And today we are going to be talking about the different types of life insurance that there are because, quite frankly, it's confusing. There's, I think, a lot of people, a lot of information online about the different types of life insurance that exist out there. People are exploring different options, looking at different ways to utilize life insurance in their life for retirement assistance, for lifetime protection, for all sorts of different ways, living benefits, whatever. We're going to talk about all that, the different products that solve different problems for different people in different scenarios and all that, and hopefully eliminate a lot of the confusion. So
yeah, and where you can use each one of those products most appropriately for each different scenario. So I think the biggest thing, Chris, that bugs me is like whenever you meet somebody online, they've watched a lot of content.
Yeah.
I love meeting people from online, but then they always have some preconceived like thing they've heard from another agent.
Absolutely.
Or they've fallen into someone's marketing message about their type of life insurance. That's the best type.
Totally.
So I think what's cool about this video is we can just kind of like sit down and break down each individual type, where they get
100%.
used, and try to help people to really get some frameworks to think about life insurance more simply.
For sure, because I mean, I know I see it all the time where people come. I can't tell you how many times I've had people call me and be like, I have a whole life policy or I have an IUL, and they actually have the opposite, right? Because somebody, the way it was positioned or pitched or, you know, the framework in which it was sold was just not clearly communicated. So, so anyway, let's do it.
It's hard to make good decisions about these things if you don't understand each individual one, right? So some people are like comparing like whole life to term, and it's like, well, hey, they have different use cases, like they're for different things.
Yeah, so, and for the record, like you know, obviously we do. If you watch Life 180 at all, you know I'm a huge like raving fan of whole life insurance when it's done properly as part of a bigger plan and all that stuff. That said, I do think that there are no such thing as bad products. It's just, you know, the question is that product the right solution for your problems and the challenges that you're looking to solve and the goals and objectives that you have. And by the end of this video, you're gonna, I think, hopefully have a lot more clarity on what product is going to be right for you.
Yeah. So let's dive in with term.
Term, the good basic. It's simple, but you know it's getting more confusing because there's different types of term.
Yeah.
Right. So we have obviously term, just to keep it really clear and really clean for everybody. Basically, it's the equivalent of like leasing a car, right? You buy a term policy for a period of time, and when that period of time runs out, that term expires, and when that term expires, you no longer have life insurance, or you have to requalify for it. Which, you know, a lot of times people will say, "My kids are young. I'm going to buy term insurance to last me through when my kids get out of college or something of that nature. So I have the life insurance I need to protect them during that period of time." But the thing is, term insurance, while it's obviously good for that, the challenge is it's also bad in that way because you run out, right? Like you either have to qualify more, or if you know, I'm 44 in a month, right? So if I bought a 20-year term today, which ironically I just did a couple months ago, and the goal, you know, if let's say if that were my only policy, hypothetically, then 20 years from now, if that were the only insurance I had, my kids would be grown because I got a 5-year-old. Let's say she's 25 and out of college and through all that, and I'm like, all right, I don't need insurance, but maybe I want insurance still. Yeah. Right. So now if I got to get more insurance at 64, you deal a lot with the more senior market. Yes. You probably see this a lot.
All the time.
So if I didn't know what I know, I would probably fall into this trap where I've got my insurance, I'm going there, and at 64, all of a sudden, I've got to reapply. I've got to get re-underwritten. My health is probably not going to be. I got super preferred, which
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If I get super preferred 20 years from now, life is good. Yeah. Right. But the odds of that are slim. Right. Right. And so we have to take those things into consideration. We have to realize that there's that risk, and it's what I always kind of tell people is life insurance at the end of the day is not a need-based product, it's a want-based product.
Wow.
And so what I would say is like, and this is why I'm doing what I do is
Yeah.
I bought a 20-year term policy
Okay.
with a conversion option
I was going to ask you if it was
that it can
convertible.
go,
Okay.
yeah, it's with Lafayette.
Okay.
And it can convert to more whole life insurance,
Nice.
right? And I did that because I have a plan to convert more of it, and that's part of our system. Buy your net worth, build
Yeah.
your cash flow. As you build your cash flow, convert it more.
Right.
But that's the difference with term. So not all term is created equally.
Right. So, Chris, unpack that thing with like conversion for a second. So, just to touch on why people use term, right? It's if you
Yeah.
have some type of financial risk of passing away to somebody else, you buy term insurance to cover that risk. It's just
Yeah.
much cheaper than the problem. And so, if
Totally.
you have young kids, a spouse that depends on your income, anybody that depends on you, debt of any kind, mortgages, future obligations that you want to fund that wouldn't happen if you weren't there to make sure you work and your plan will be to create that income,
Yeah.
then that's what you buy term for. But you touched on something that's really important that a lot of people miss out on is convertibility. Because when we shop term for clients, we're always looking for great quality companies with convertibility.
Yes.
And so just explain to people who don't know what convertibility actually means.
Yeah, the convertibility. So every term policy works differently. Some term policies have no conversion ability. That's typically your cheaper term, meaning you don't have the ability to convert and guarantee your insurability. So what a conversion ability or convertibility means is that if I buy a policy, typically for a period of time during that policy, if you buy a 10-year term, it's either 8 years or the entire 10 years typically that I see that you're able to convert that term. Or some companies will have, like if you have a 20-year policy, you can convert for 18 years or 15 years or 20 years. You have to look at the contract and see how long the conversion time frame is.
Yeah, sometimes once you get to 70, there's all kinds of
sometimes
little
it's
things.
65 they won't
Yeah,
let you convert
they won't
past,
let you convert,
right? So you have to look and understand what your conversion options are. But at the end of the day, the beautiful part about conversion, I'll just use my case study as an example, just because I think it's the easiest way to go.
Break it down in like real numbers.
So I'm 44.
Okay.
Let's say I've got a 20-year conversion and I have the ability to convert my policy for all 20 years.
Yeah.
So up until the last day, so let's say at 61 years old, 17 years into the policy,
Yeah.
I get diagnosed with cancer
Right.
and I'm no longer insurable. And I now have a lot of uncertainty in my life and a lot of, just fear probably around everything that's going to happen.
Life
Like what's going to
expectancy
happen.
might be much shorter now.
Totally.
Yeah.
I've got at that point in time, my 5-year-old now is probably going to be 25. My 12-year-old's going to be 32. I probably have grandkids. I probably have, like, these are a lot of things that we just don't think about right now in the moment. But when you really play it out, I really encourage everybody to like go there. You know what I mean? And so what would happen in this scenario is I have the ability to convert this $2 million term policy to whole life insurance at that point in time with no underwriting.
Yeah.
In a situation where, let's say I get cancer at 61, the worst scenario would be I live for 4 years with cancer and then I die.
And then die with no life insurance.
Die with no life insurance, right? So what happens is having this convertibility option gives you the ability to convert your insurance, your term insurance, to a permanent guaranteed whole life policy, or it could be a UL policy if different companies, I don't suggest that, but I'm just being totally transparent. You can, we'll talk about that after. We'll talk about that after. And by the way, conversion is conversion. Like if you have cancer, converting it to anything is going to be a blessing.
The policy that's in force the day you die is the one 100%. That counts. Yeah.
100%. So from that perspective, but it also, I'm just saying UL just comes with a little more risk unless you have the right ability for like a GUL or
I think different scenarios, right? The cancer scenario is different. Like that's just important to get some life insurance.
100%.
If you don't have cancer and you're just looking for a lifelong policy, then we got to talk about that.
Yeah, like when you have cancer in that scenario, then it's more of a distressed situation, right? And you're trying to solve that problem. And so you're not so concerned about what's the cost and you just want the policy enforced because you know it's going to be a positive return.
Well, and you touched on, you might have grandkids you didn't think about now. Think about the new challenges in that phase of life. If you're now 61, now you're thinking about, is my wife's retirement fully funded?
Totally.
Is the legacy in place where we want? Are those kids going to have college funds the way we talked about?
100%.
So the needs change and the wants change as you
for sure,
through different phases of life.
And so that's just a thing, knowing that you have the ability to convert. Now, different companies offer different conversion opportunities. I love buying with participating mutual companies, convertible policies with them because it converts to the best types of policies.
Yeah.
You can buy other products that are convertible to other less predictable policies
Yeah.
that, once again, are still, it's better to have that conversion option than not. But also know the only thing that I will say here is that you can get cheaper term, like Banner Life or Protective Life or something like that, and it's not convertible. There's no conversion option, and so you just have to weigh your options. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like for me, for instance, I'll give my numbers. I don't care. For me at 44 years old,
Yeah.
I just got $2 million of coverage
Yeah.
for $1,440 a year.
Wow.
I super preferred.
That's, well, yeah.
Right.
Because you're super healthy.
So here's the deal though, just to give you the idea of like the importance of health too, everybody.
Yeah.
1440 a year, and I ran myself at every health rating.
Yeah.
A standard would have been $2,600 a year.
Wow.
So the increase is like the amount of saving that I have having the healthy rating is amazing. So take your underwriting process seriously, and agents do the best cover letter you can for your clients, and all these different things to really fight for that rating because it's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. And what's cool is there's so much we can just unpack with term. Like
I know.
I love talking about.
We were going to talk about all these videos, but we're like 15 minutes into this.
Yeah,
for
we're gonna
term.
have to. This will be like a two-parter for
This
sure.
is a series
This
of
will
the
be a
different types
series
of
on
life
each one.
insurance
But
now.
what's cool about term is like term to me is
Yeah.
what makes me feel just amazing about being a life insurance agent. Like my
Yeah.
favorite policies I've ever set up were
Yep.
term policies for families, new baby.
Totally.
It's so powerful. Like I really view our mission, Chris, as like being the people in the community that's
Yep.
supposed to stop the GoFundMe pages, the car wash funerals.
Totally.
Like that's on us, right? Like life insurance agents are responsible. They're
Yeah.
in their community for protecting families. And term is what you use typically
Yeah.
in a lot of cases to get more protection.
Totally.
Now, when the money's less, right? So when you're starting out, you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s.
Yep.
The bills are higher. Your kids are the youngest they're going to be at that point. They're going to grow, and your needs will change. You'll pay off debt. You'll get more, hopefully, raises and make more money.
Sure.
But when you're young, I think it's important to evaluate, hey, let's make sure we actually get the coverage for what we need it for in that moment.
100%.
But if you're at a place where you're like, hey, you know what? I can actually afford that coverage pretty okay, but let's talk riders you can add on. Because there's a couple cool riders you can put on term, like waiver premium.
Yep.
In case there's some type of emergency, which that can be really important to
big
talk
time.
about. And then return a premium.
Totally.
And return a premium has been an amazing kind of new thing we've been doing in like a hybrid retirement type scenario.
Right.
Because let's use your scenario, right?
Return of premium isn't available on every company, though.
It's not
So
available on
that's-
every company. That's
right.
important to know. It's a rider you got to get with certain companies.
Yep.
But let's play out this scenario, right?
Yep.
So your premium was how much you say $1,400 a year?
Say 1,400 a year. A little more, 1,440.
Okay,
but
so we're
let's say
talking,
1,400.
well, yours is a very cheap premium, so
Yeah.
that helps a lot. But we can even use that. Let's just say it's 1,400. So you got a 20-year term.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the end of 20 years, if you had
28,000
ROP,
bucks.
you'd get 28 grand back. Okay,
That's a big deal.
that's a big deal, right? You're entering retirement. That 28 grand could be the money that you bridge to defer Social Security one more year and get higher income for the rest of your life. Like having that infusion of cash show up right at the beginning
Totally.
of retirement does
Yep.
so much. Like
Especially
you
if it's a
can use
down market during that time.
you can use it as a buffer. Yeah, take
Yeah,
a withdrawal.
totally.
Yeah.
100%.
So, I mean, having that ROP, return of premium, has become a really innovative way
Yep.
to help people boost their retirement early on.
Yeah.
And I like it a lot. I first learned about this, like maybe 10 years ago. I saw a client and they go, yeah, I was going through a scenario and like, yeah, in another year, we're going to get 100 grand. And I'm like, from what? And we looked at, and they were going to get $100,000
premium.
back from the return of premium.
Wow,
And I
that's
started
cool.
thinking, I'm like, that would be a great way to boost cash in the beginning of your retirement. So return of premium has a place
It does.
if you want, because some people say, well, okay, I get it. I know I need to have this
Mm-hmm.
for protection, but like if I never die, then I don't get any money back.
Yeah.
So that is a way where you can get every dollar back you put in.
I look at it like from the lens that it's insurance, right? So
Right.
insurance, there's no free lunches.
Right.
And so everything has a cost,
Yeah.
including return of premium.
It does.
So it's not good or bad. Is it in alignment with your values and beliefs and
Yeah.
your goals and objectives? And is
Yeah.
it helping you intentionally create the life that you want to live
Yeah.
from a long-term perspective? Are you thinking long-term? And is this term policy in alignment with the rest of your plan? Is it helping solve the problems with the rest of your plan? Is it helping fill the gaps of the rest of your plan?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think what happens is most of the time people go, well, I have my plan and I got my money manager, I got my advisor, and then I'm just going to get the cheapest term and it doesn't matter.
Right.
Right? They don't realize that the insurance that you have has an impact on everything else.
Yeah.
And
Massive.
if you don't realize how just deeply it can impact everything else,
Yeah.
you're missing the boat. You're really selling yourself short. You said something earlier, and I want to touch on it before I forget.
Okay.
About like how term insurance is like your favorite thing. You know, like not favorite maybe, but like
Yeah.
it's like the the
Just
thing
makes
that
you feel great about
yeah
being a
yeah
life
exactly.
insurance agent. Yeah.
It's an area that I used to not focus on a lot.
Yeah.
Because I was all about the cash value and this and that, whatever.
Right.
And you have some things that happen to you, and in life, my wife is not insurable, because of a traumatic brain injury. She wasn't insurable before that because she was in recovery, newly in recovery from alcoholism.
Wow.
And so they wouldn't insure her. And then in that process, as we were waiting for her to be long enough, we got in a car accident and she got a traumatic brain injury.
Whoa.
And so everybody that says that you can wait, you're one bad red light away from being rear-ended.
Wow.
That's exactly what happened to us, and she was like a year to 18 months away from being able to get a policy after being sober for 6 years at the time.
Oh my gosh.
They said they wanted her sober 7 years. It was like 5 years and 8 months or something like that. And so like that stuff happens. So don't take your current insurability for granted, I guess I would say. And I would also say to all the people when you're watching different influencers and different content creators online talking about insurance, the insurance part of it is the most important. Like anybody that says do a banking policy or do this, and the insurance is like inconsequential. It's not important. It's just the benefit.
Yeah.
It's the whatever.
Yeah.
Like I want to slap those people
Yeah.
because it's like no. One of the big things that I'm a big believer in is you got to buy your net worth and build your cash flow. I don't know if you realize this, but there's this thing called human life value. And I know you realize this, but people watching.
Yeah.
Human life value is something that insurance companies use to calculate how much insurance you're going to be worth. The way I like to break that down is looking at it as your future potential net worth, because that's human life value is an insurance company going to you and saying, hey, listen, you are X age, making X amount of income with X debt and X obligations with kids and family and all this stuff. And if you are a good steward of money, they're giving you the benefit of doubt. Think about this. Like, think about the value of that. Because most people are not diligent with their money, right?
Right.
They're not. But the insurance company is going to say, based on your current scenario, if you were diligent, this is what your future potential human life value, or i.e. future potential net worth, could be, right?
Yeah, attorneys argue this stuff in court every day.
100%.
They say you can't put a value on a human life, but they do it every single day.
Every single day. Every single day. And so from that perspective, when we look at this and we say, all right, if you have the ability, if I could tell you, when people go, oh, I don't need insurance, I don't need this, but do you want it, right? Like, to me, the reason I get insurance is not because of me. It's because of my kids, because of my wife. It's because of my grandkids, my great-grandkids, the generation. I have a really big significance, drive, right? And so to me, I want to set up a whole family structure that for generations, I know everything's going to be good to go.
Yeah.
Right?
I do as well.
And so from that perspective, I look at it like this. I go, you know what? I want to create a system that I know I can buy my future net worth.
Yeah.
And by buying term insurance, so this is where everybody that starts with like whole life insurance, and that'll be the next video. But everybody that starts with whole life insurance and says that life insurance is the benefit, we just want to focus on the cash value. I would say that start with term insurance. Make sure your cash flow is good. Maximize. Whatever the insurance company will give you, take it, because they're not going to give you more, because that's just bad actuarial math. Like, they're not going to take the risk on if your life isn't worth that mathematically to them, right? Like, if you don't have the future potential to reach a certain level of financial success in the eyes of the insurance company underwriters, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
So to me, my mindset is anytime the life insurance company is going to give me for $1,400 a month, $2 million or $1,400 a year, $2 million of coverage and I can convert that over time as my
Yeah.
cash flow continues to improve,
Right.
it allows me to guarantee a result.
Yeah.
Like I know I want to leave X amount of money, right?
Yeah.
To my family. How amazing is it that we can actually use these products to create a guaranteed result?
Yeah.
And that allows us to gamify the rest of our life,
That's a beautiful framework to think about.
right?
But you think long term, like when you got that term policy, you believe in yourself. You're like, hey, I know that I'm going to be at a
Sure.
place in my business when I am 60 where I'm going to want that $2 million a whole life. And
Well,
so, you know,
I'm going to convert little parts of it
As
over
you
time.
go.
You can convert 10% at a time.
yeah, you can go up to the whole death benefit
Yeah.
in increments.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I always think about like young, hungry go-getters that are like, I'm going to make all this money. I'm
Oh,
like, show
yeah.
me how much term insurance they have, and I'll show you how much they believe in themselves.
I would say this. Yeah. Like if you're 30
Yeah.
right now, buy a 20-year term right now
Yeah.
and lock it in, because if you're so confident, buy it, guarantee the result. Guarantee the, because you don't know what's going to happen. Life happens. I got
Yeah.
news for you. Life happens.
Yeah.
And you get a term policy. It allows you to just go at whatever you're going after, whatever you're chasing, whatever you're trying to accomplish with complete reckless abandon. And it allows you to have a lot more fun. I'm a big believer that stress kills people, right?
It does. I mean,
And-
well, you don't have to believe it. This is science.
Yeah,
shows
yeah, yeah.
it
I mean,
kills
like,
people. Yeah,
exactly.
there's evidence. That,
And so like having this insurance there.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people lose sleep, get stressed, have sleepless nights, get sick, worrying over money, worrying about their legacy, worrying about what happens when I die, worry
Yeah.
about like all that stuff. You can eliminate that.
think about how many spouses are worried right now.
Yeah,
That they're
totally.
they're going, oh man, they don't have enough life insurance. That happens all.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's ever happened to you. I was at a funeral, Chris, one time, where somebody had lapsed their life insurance and then passed away suddenly. And I remember
Oh,
at the
God.
funeral, that's all anybody talked about. Was
That's a
oh my
sad
God.
day.
I mean, yeah, it was just so sad, and
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it, and that made me realize I'm like, I want to make sure that like I don't want my kids and wife at my funeral
Yeah.
going, oh man, I wish he had just renewed the life insurance or had life insurance,
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
I have a ton of life insurance. I mean,
Yep.
if I'm young, my wife's young. If I were to die right now, she'd have a long way to go, and I don't want her to remarry and be happy. I want her to be miserable and rich.
Totally, exactly.
That's what the life insurance is for.
Or if she's
so-
gonna remarry because it's like love and optional, and give her
Right.
time to go through a process, and
Yeah.
not out of desperation because she needs to
Yeah.
find stability.
Exactly.
Right.
It's important. So
Yeah.
I think what's important for anybody watching this is if you are somebody who's been on the fence about term and kicking the can down the road, like it's important just to apply, see what you can get,
Yeah.
and get that
Make-
get that one checked off. It's so easy and it's
Yep.
so economical to solve that problem.
Yep.
There's no excuse not to. And if you're an insurance agent, I would encourage you to think about your street that you live on. Think about
Mm-hmm.
all the young families.
Mm.
And if you haven't been the person to help protect those families, like now is the time to go do it because you don't want to be on the other end of that ever. That would
Totally.
be, so
Yeah, I
it's our
agree.
responsibility.
The only last thing I would say
Yeah.
is living benefits
Oh yeah.
are typically not. We talk about living benefits with
Very
whole life
important
and like
now.
it's huge.
Yeah.
There are some companies
Yeah.
that have living benefits associated with term. Now, typically they're not quite as good as they would be with a permanent policy, but they're still great. Like
They're really
they're
important.
really,
I
really
mean,
important.
you say you're in your 50s, getting close
Yeah.
to retirement. You could have, there could be health events that pop up.
For sure.
A stroke, some type of thing that just comes out of nowhere.
Yep.
And having those living benefits. So break down living benefits for people who don't know.
Yeah, so
that
every
is.
every company kind of has a little bit differently, but
Yeah.
just I'll do the big umbrella.
Yeah.
Is if you become critically, chronically, or terminally ill, you lose 2 of 6 daily living activities or become cognitively impaired.
Yep.
Or if you become terminally diagnosed with like a cancer or something of that accord, get Alzheimer's or something of that nature would be cognitive, right? When you have that happen to you, you have the ability to accelerate a portion of the death benefit on a tax-free basis to be able to help. Well, quite frankly, whatever you want. Like
Yeah.
you can utilize the money for whatever you want. I've had clients in the past with pancreatic cancer. Ironically,
Tough one.
I've had them take their family on vacation around the world and just said, you know what, I'm going to enjoy what I have. And they used living benefits from the death benefit to do that. And then also think about the other thing this woman did
Yeah.
is that when she was on the trip, she used it to hand the death benefit to her heirs
Oh my gosh.
in person.
Whoa.
That's cool,
That is cool. That's powerful.
right?
That is a scenario I think about sometimes. I don't think about dying. I think about what
Yeah.
happens if I was diagnosed with a terminal condition.
Yeah.
And like, we were so heavily invested in real estate and life
Yeah.
insurance. Like, what if you couldn't get enough capital to take the special trip you always wanted to while you could?
Yeah.
That's what living benefits
Living
do.
benefits will do that. And think about the feeling it would give you to know that while you're alive, you could take the death benefit and actually hand it to the person that you wanted to hand it
Unreal.
to,
Yeah. That's just like a love letter.
right?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
That's amazing, man.
So like being able to do that, and on the
story.
other end of the spectrum, I've been blessed enough to have living benefits from life insurance, accelerating the death benefit, save my father-in-law from pancreatic cancer.
I remember hearing that story
Four
recently.
4 years ago,
Yeah.
he I mean, it wasn't a term policy, but it was living benefits, and if it were a term policy, it would have worked the same way.
So, did it save his life because a lot of people put off the necessary medical treatments because of cost?
Yeah, well, it saves
Or-
his life because the traditional medical treatments, the traditional oncologist,
Yeah.
basically said he had 90 days to live. They found a 7.5 centimeter tumor on his pancreas and liver.
Oh my gosh.
And they said there was nothing they could do. They could give him radiation and chemo, but the amount that they'd have to dose him would kill him on its own. They might be able to get him to a year, but his quality of life would have been horrible. And so we just said no. We did alternative medical treatments from other countries that are not even legal in the United States.
Oh my gosh.
Alternative stuff, multiple six figures of medical treatments. That to me, it's criminal that they're not even legal here.
Yeah.
Insurance companies won't cover them, quite frankly, unless you have a couple $100,000 sitting around earmarked for this, which most people don't.
Right.
If he didn't, he would have been dead. And today, 4 years later, he's alive. They've got the pancreatic cancer still under control. They've said he's going to die with it, but not because of it, because it's under control that much. And he'll never get rid of it, but that's the problem. That's a whole different thing. But the problem with oncology is their goal and their success metric is, did they kill the tumor? Did they shrink it? Even if they have to kill the host in the process. So we found these doctors that believed our job is to keep you alive. If the tumor's not bothering you, if we can manage the tumor and keep you alive, right? And it's not bothering you and your quality of life is good. He's playing golf 4 days a week. Wow. Is that acceptable? Are you okay living with cancer the rest of your life if it doesn't impact your lifestyle, except for your diet? Are you willing to do that? Most people, I think, would say yes to that.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
but because of the fact that we were able to go to different countries and do different treatments and do alternative stuff that was cash out of pocket, that most people don't have the cash for,
Right.
we were able to do that because of living benefits.
Wow.
Right? And so, those are the kinds of things
So
that
important.
So I would encourage everybody to get those in place.
Yeah.
And I would say if you're young, don't just get one term policy. I would say people, once again, they just go, I just need have my death benefit covered for my family. No,
Right.
Get a living benefits policy,
Yep.
Split the death benefit up, get some of it convertible, some of it living benefits, work with somebody that can help you and guide you and all that stuff. Call Danny, call me, call our team here. We do all of this stuff because it's some of the most, it is the foundation of your entire financial plan, in my opinion.
It truly is. And it's scary how, we didn't pull up the statistics before this, but it's
Yeah.
crazy how many people you see that are actually doing really well,
Yeah.
making good money,
Yeah.
everything's going along, you sit down with them and you look, and that's the one thing they're missing.
Totally.
Is just
It's-
a good
yeah.
term policy to protect them.
Yep.
And it's important. Chris, that was really fun. Thanks for breaking down term insurance. That's going to be part 1 of our video series. We're going to break down whole life next. We want to thank you so much for watching. Please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, I'm going to put Chris's channel down below. I'm sure you probably have already seen his if you've seen mine. So subscribe over there and check out this next video on whole life insurance.